I have a good topic for us to discuss today. Did you know that the most important relationship that you'll ever have is the relationship you'll have with yourself? And today I speak about this from my own journey because one of the questions that I get asked a lot is if I could give one piece of advice, life advice, what would it be? And my answer is always the same: fall in love with yourself. And I don't mean this surface level version. I don't mean looking in the mirror and saying that you're attractive or pretending everything about you is perfect. I mean, really fall in love with yourself. Get to know who you are at your core, the good parts, the parts that you're proud of, the parts that maybe you've spent years trying to hide, such as scars, mistakes, or even insecurities. For a long time, I thought that loving myself meant learning to love the parts that I just really liked. What I eventually would realize, though, was that the real self love started when I was willing to sit with the parts that I didn't like. And I had to examine them and I had to ask some hard questions. And most importantly, I had to really stop running from them. And over time, I realized something important: that those parts were still me. They may not be my favorite parts, but they were part of the story that made me who I am. And one of the biggest shifts in my life really happened to me when I actually started asking myself this question: how would I treat the person that I love the most in this world? And the answer was really an astounding. I would advocate for them. I would encourage them in life. I would help them set boundaries to keep them safe. I'd make sure that they were taken care of physically, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually if needed. But then one day I realized something: is why wasn't I treating myself that way? So I started trying. And now listen, this isn't going to be some transformation that happens in a weekend kind of process. It is a process, and sometimes it is a long one. But if you keep showing up for yourself, you'll start to notice some of the small changes. For example, you begin to speak about and to yourself much differently. You begin to carry yourself differently. And you'll slowly stop seeing the life through the lens of what you're lacking and start seeing it through the lens of more of a gratitude setting. And you become even more comfortable in your own skin. That was a very important one for me. But you also stop needing everyone else's approval because you're finally earning your own. And sometimes something else happens as well. People notice, and it's not because you're trying to impress them, but because there's something powerful about a person who is comfortable being who they are. People are just naturally drawn to that. Some of the most incredible relationships in my life came after I learned how to love myself. It's honestly how I found my beautiful bride to be. It's how I've also built friendships that mean the world to me, and how I've connected with a lot of people on my journey. Because when you stop pretending to be someone else, the right people finally get the chance to find the real you. So if you ask me for one piece of advice, that's what I'm going to give you: is fall in love with yourself. Not this polished version, not the version that you think that everyone wants you to be, but this real, messy, and just imperfect version of you. Because when you learn to love that person, everything else in life will start to change for you. So here's something to think about: the relationship that you're spending the most time in is going to be the one you have with yourself. You're going to spend more time with yourself than you will your spouse, your children, your friends, or anyone else who comes into your life. So make sure it's a good one, because at the end of the day, the way that you love yourself teaches the world how to love you back. And I truly believe that learning to love yourself fully, honestly, and unapologetically will be one of the best decisions that you will ever make. And with that, stay the course, my friends.